Hello, everybody. It is Friday, the 22nd of September. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about the Hure of Babylon, the destruction of Rome. I want to talk again about near-death experiences and about the beast that causes desolation. The intention, really, that causes desolation at the moment. And really thinking about, on a spiritual level, what it is they're actually doing when they are causing desolation, mostly through the destruction of matter. That is through the destruction of bodies. And last thing, again, I want to talk about that those that believe in a heaven and even maybe have experienced heaven, have the knowledge of it, are at the moment probably the most dangerous people on earth. Especially if they are serving an intention. So, okay. What brought the whole thing up again for me, I've been listening to Hure. I hadn't listened to him for a long time, and for some reason it came up. And at the moment he's scaring shit out of me. Shouldn't, but he does. Talking about that there might be another great event coming that will eclipse even 9/11, with the effect that it will have on humanity. So, and then really thinking as what is actually affecting us? How are we being affected? The workings of it. Because we are being affected on a spiritual level that is on the level of our light being, of our energy being. And desolation, the one that causes desolation, is affecting people on the spiritual level, on the level of their energy being. So, and Hure is going on around about targets, obviously thinking America, but Americans always think it is America. And that it might be somewhere else. Where if their aim is to cause desolation, and desolation that would reverberate around the earth, if they're really going to that level now, then Hure was talking about Denver Airport, that would just be another 9/11 to me. It is just one target in one country, and even the effect of that would probably not go that far out. Although an airport, there's a lot of mixed people there. You know, it is a hub where people come from all over the world. In that, it would be, you know, it would reverberate around the world. But I was thinking, first of all, how are we affected? How does this desolation, how does it become real for us? And it is real when it hits our energy being. And that is through the energetic connections that we have. And that are being built by giving and receiving energy of those around us, the connection between the mother and the child is being built through the interaction between the mother and the child. So the persona of the mother is being formed, is being created through that interaction. Mother is not born. Woman is born with the possibility of becoming a mother, but she doesn't become a mother until it becomes real that she has a physical baby, and then the spiritual interaction between the mother, the energy interaction between the mother and the baby starts, and that's what's forming the spiritual persona of the mother. So, and if you lose a loved one, part of you dies, then in that thinking that is actually completely true. If the flow of energy between you and that other person stops because they're physically no longer in this world. And if part of yourself, a persona inside of you, was the friend of that person, was the mother of that person, was the brother or sister of that person, then that persona will die because it will no longer receive living energy from that person. So it will wither away. It will become a memory, but no longer an experienced reality. So then the point of true desolation is where the energy is actually severed. So if somebody dies, those that were closest energetically related to that person. And that's actually not blood relations, because you can be a blood relation and not be energetically related to that person at all, in which case it wouldn't affect you that much. But those that are were energetically connected to the deceased, to them it will become the most real, the most experienced, and it will affect them on a level that a part of themselves will die. Yeah? So then if you were to have an attack that would reverberate around the world, that means you have to have little centers all over the world to whom this event was real, because they lost somebody in that event that they were energetically connected to, and then it becomes real. And then their desolation, the desolation of a mother or a father or brother, sister, whatever, this close connections, it will spread out. It will make itself known to those around. And again, it is from the point of impact. The further out it goes, the less it becomes. Yeah, same with a bomb, as anything else. So, but if you have little centers of impact, families, or even just singular people from which their desolation spreads out and makes itself known to others, then you have a global impact. Now, I was thinking about the way that, let's say something would happen to that island in Italy right now, God forbid, but just theoretically. There would be a lot of that would reverberate in Africa, because there are a lot of Africans there right now, and there would be families in Africa that would be directly impacted. To them, it would be real. It would have, an energy to another person would have been severed. They would feel that loss themselves. So if something were, God forbid, to happen to that island right now, there would be a lot of reverberation in Africa, because there the impact would be people that were connected. If you were to hit another target, and let's say, we're not only, and here comes, we're not only connected to people, although that is the most natural connection that we have, to something else that is living. And that is where the energy, the living energy, and that's not only people, that is plants, that is animals. So, and those that is the closest to us, we can connect to the most. But you can be connected to something that is not a living thing, that is a construct. Yeah? Now, for instance, and here comes again the banker. The banker, the energy of the banker is attached to money, to power, to whatever it can get you. Yeah? So all his energy is invested in that. And you could say that, and you could say that with any other profession, really, where your energy is invested in the job, connected to the job. You think according to the job. You think according to what will serve the job. Yeah? And you do according to what serves the job. And it is quite often the more professional a person gets, the more he invests in, let's say, the job, the less of a human being they become. Because it is, the natural connections are being severed to serve something else. And then, of course, if, let's say, the bank goes belly up and that has become your life, that has become you, then you have bankers jumping off buildings because their life is over, because that was their life. They were not working as a banker. Yes, David Icke says, you are not Ethel on the checkouts, but you can become Ethel on the checkouts. You can become the banker. Yeah? That is when you are really energetically tied to a task, a belief system. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. Those that are energetically inside of a belief system. And here comes the Hure of Babylon and the destruction of Rome. If you wanted to do something that really causes desolation around the world, really around the world, in every place of the world, then the destruction of Rome would do that. And there would be little energy centers all around the world to whom that would be extremely real, because they have become a Catholic. Now, again, at the moment, or in times, we are going through the time, or they most certainly went through a time of testing. Yeah, Catholics, that is. Where all these stories, of course, came out about priests and pedophilia and God knows what they're up to, the Bank of Rome and its dealings and all those shady things. And their faith was severely tested. Now, this testing can have two effects on you. Either you turn around and you walk away, or you overcome and you hold on to your faith, in which case the testing will strengthen you in your faith. Yeah? So it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you show about the doings of the Catholic Church, I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there to the last, which strengthens your faith. Overcoming adversity, strengthening your faith. And many have done that. Many are still hanging in there despite everything. And that is actually, in a way, overcoming self. Yeah? Because, of course, if you were a human being, then the thought of pedophilia and other things that have been happening should make you walk away. Yeah? You should reject that. It's out of your knowing of good and bad as a human being, you should reject that. But if you do away with that judgment according to self, and then that strengthens the persona of a Catholic, it becomes stronger. So now, if you had strengthened Catholics all over the world, if something were to happen to Rome, if they want to cause desolation, hopelessness, grief, the deep feeling of loss, all those energies, then the destruction of Rome, you would have centers all over the world, little centers of from where that feeling would emanate. It would go into the family, and if the family is one in their belief, in their Catholic belief, in their identification as a Catholic, then that would compound the energy as becoming the energy of an entire family that will, again, spread out into their communities. And if the communities here are actually filled with compassion, again, then that means you letting that grief in. Yeah? You are forming a connection through which that grief can enter into you and become maybe not as real as it is for them, but a lot more real than if you just stand back and watch it without true empathy. So there it could spread. And that is the way it will spread. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and that is that those that have experienced a heaven, have a knowledge of a heaven, yeah? And are in the doctrine of that heaven, in the thinking, in the intention of which is God, the intention of that heaven, the ways by which it would be achieved, the doctrine of that heaven, if they're in it. They know it and they're in it and they have become. Then they could become the most dangerous people on earth. Because to them, matter truly would not matter. Yeah? And then listen to Pope Francis and this idea that he was, the prophecy that he was the last Pope. The prophecy that we already have in the book of the Revelation of the destruction of Rome. And all Pope Francis can say is, I hope it doesn't hurt. Yeah, well, if that's your only concern, that's okay. But if they have in life experienced a heaven, like people have experienced a heaven through a near-death experience, but they were in no way prepared for that, yeah? It came unexpected. They have no real concept of what is, or understanding of what is actually happening at that moment. They're trying to understand afterwards, yeah? But if you have actually people trained in the understanding, yeah, they know exactly what's happening. They have entered into a heaven, and folks, there's more than one. Get out of the idea of one. And if they have entered into this heaven where the will to have dominion, the intention to have dominion is God, and that God even asked for sacrifice of matter, yeah? Sacrifice your matter, your life, your matter, but your reward will be in heaven. And they know it as, and they've already experienced it. They've been there. They know it on the level of experience. And to them, then obviously it is again real. So then the only thing that they might concern them is that it might hurt at that moment. But the rest doesn't matter. To them it doesn't matter. Because their reward will truly be in heaven. They know it exists. And they want to bring that heaven to earth. They want to make it a reality here, and they're serving it to the point of self-sacrifice. And that, again, if matter no longer matters to you, if you think the sacrifice of life, of matter, is nothing, then those would become the most dangerous people on earth. As long as you value this experience, and as long as you want this experience, as long as you're holding on to this experience, you will act in a way that will prolong the experience if you are of sound mind. But if it doesn't matter to you, then you will destroy life, and it doesn't matter. So, just to recap, if they want, and again, why would they want to cause that? They are severing connections. That is what causes desolation, is what causes grief, and what causes hopelessness, is the severing of that which we are connected to. So we no longer receive of that energy, and we're being left on our own out of those connections. And that is desolation, being on your own. And then the next thing you will want to do is form new connections from which to receive. To receive of life, to receive of the energy that is here. And then they will come and say, connect to us. We are the truth. We are the life. We are life. We are the givers of life. We will give you energy. Again, hope, a future, energy. And your life will have meaning again, which means you can go on in new connections. But they will have to destroy the others first. And I've said it before, Rome was a great power to form connections. But if you wanted to create a complete change, that means you want to leave a lot of people in desolation and spread that desolation around, especially to those who are in compassion. If you want to destroy in order to rebuild, then destroying Rome would have an impact all over the world. Destroying a place where you have people from a lot of different nations would again reverberate around the place, because there would be connections severed, that human connections, and parts of people would die, and they would feel that death, and it would be real to them. So here's the thing, either you hit a spiritual center where people are connected in that way and they have become a Catholic, a Muslim, a Hindu, and that is their main persona, then that would reverberate. Or if you hit, as I said before, well, there's a lot of mixed people, that would hit all over the world. So I would look for a target, like if you really wanted something that causes desolation worldwide, severs connections worldwide, then I would look for a target like that. Anyway, on that cheerful note, I leave it at that. Now let me say one more thing, and that is, if we want to understand what they are doing, and if it is true that once we know, there's a thing going on at the moment, the looking glass thing, that is to say, if we make people aware of a target, that will not happen. Once we know, it will not happen. And then out of the understanding of ourselves and out of the understanding of their intention, and if we understand ourselves on a spiritual level, it would become a lot clearer where those targets might be. So we could maybe pinpoint, out of the understanding of ourselves as an energy being, we might be able to pinpoint the targets a lot better, because we would be thinking on their level and where the most impact would actually be. Okay, I leave it at that for today, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.